Hi guys, welcome to this module. This module is about troubleshooting PCs. We have learned so many fundamentals about PCs and networks so far. Now I want to tell you some of the techniques which you can use to troubleshoot a PC. These techniques will be very helpful to you for the actual work, and I think they'll be a lot more helpful to you during the interviews which you are going to give. So I gave you a lot of fundamentals. Now I really want to give you some direct techniques which you can use when you are doing the work of your troubleshooting, and I'm sure that some of these questions will be asked to you if you start giving interviews now. So here is what we are going to cover in this module. We are going to talk about customer probing. Customer probing is a technique of asking the correct question from customer when you are about to start troubleshooting an issue, and I think this is one of the most important steps in the whole troubleshooting approach. Then I'm also going to tell you how do you research for an issue on Google, because I know it sounds very simple, but I feel a lot of people do it the wrong way and they are not able to get the results. So I'm going to tell you how you should do it. We are going to talk about the linear approach of troubleshooting. I'm going to introduce you to safe mode. I'm going to tell you about add and remove programs. I'm going to tell you about printer installation on a Windows and a Mac computer. I'm going to tell you about no boot situation of a PC. I will tell you how to troubleshoot slow PC. I'll tell you how to troubleshoot unable to browse, how to perform a clean boot and what is a clean boot, troubleshooting Windows Update, troubleshooting Microsoft Office, and I'm sure there is a lot more which you can do apart from these troubleshooting, but these were the things which came top of my mind. So let's go ahead and look into them. So number one topic is probing. Probing is the best skill a troubleshooter can have, and quite honestly, a lot of time when probed correctly, users themselves tell you the solution as well. Also remember, if you ever asked a question about what's your troubleshooting approach, then do involve probing as the key aspect in your answer. So if anybody is asking you that what is your troubleshooting approach, you have to say that I like to probe a lot, and I'll tell you the right questions which you are going to ask or which you can answer in your interviews or whatever. But probing is very important part of troubleshooting. So what is probing? Well, it's the art of asking correct questions from people to reach to a conclusion. In terms of troubleshooting a computer issue, I usually find that answer to below questions can give you a very good perspective to resolve the issue. Question number one, what is the issue and can you reproduce the issue for me? Don't expect the vague explanation of the issue from the user. Ask them to reproduce it for you. Note down the steps to reproduce the issue so that you can cause it on demand. So number one step is to understand what is the issue and how can you reproduce the issue. Ask the user to show the issue to you. Ask them that do whatever they want to do. How do they get the error message? When do they get the error message? I have seen in a lot of situations where users, especially VIP users, try to dump the issue on an engineer without even giving him an explanation of the issue, because quite honestly speaking, they haven't even thought about the issue that much, or maybe the issue is not actually causing them any problem. It's just that they don't want to think about it and they just lay over the thing to you. Believe me, if you don't know what the issue is, you can definitely not solve it. So make sure you figure out what are the exact steps to reproduce the issue a couple of times and see that you are able to cause the error so that you can actually get the solution, and then validate that the error doesn't happen anymore. The next very important question is to ask, when was the last time it was working right? It is highly important for us to learn whether this issue is something which happened recently or if it ever has worked correctly in past, because a lot of time user brings some issues where it has never worked on a PC, in which case troubleshooting steps can be entirely different to something which was working up till recently. So they might have just bought a new piece of hardware or a new piece of software and they're just trying to do it, and they'll show you, this is not working. And you start working on it assuming that, oh my god, this was working before and now it has broken in something. And then after a while of troubleshooting, after actually some days of troubleshooting, the user tell you that this is a brand new piece of hardware and it has never worked on their computer. And in which case, how I would start is that instead of troubleshooting it, I would look for the compatibility. If that piece of hardware can work with the version of Windows which is on their computer or not. Or maybe the piece of software which they are installing, is it compatible with their version of Windows? Or there could be thousand other things. So instead of troubleshooting the issue, the question becomes compatibility. So it is very important for you to ask, when was the last time this was working correctly? What changed and what did you do which caused this issue? So the customer can tell you that he installed a new software after which this particular issue started to happen. Or he may tell you something else which he did which could have caused the issue. Now it's not always necessary that what customer tells you caused the issue actually caused the issue. In fact, it's probably in 50% of the cases what they will tell you will be totally unrelated. But they are chatty and would tell you anything. It's up to your skilled ears that what you hear and what you ignore. But the question is that you really have to ask them, what did they do? What did they change in their computer after which the issue started to happen? And then listen to them carefully, because they might reveal some information which to their untrained ears means nothing. But when you hear those words or that situation, it can immediately tell you that what could have caused the issue. The next excellent question which you can ask is there any workaround that you can do to make it working? Because a lot of times what happens, users are facing some issue and before they bring the computer to you, they would have tried a few things themselves. And if it is an old issue which happens every now and then, they might even have a workaround for the issue. Now, this is a very interesting question because people are smart, and especially for their own problems. And a lot of time you will see that customer have found their own solutions to fix the issue because they don't understand the background of the technology, so the solution is pure voodoo to them. But if they tell you the solution, it's very possible that you will see the background issue right through it and you will be able to fix it ASAP. In most cases, these 4 questions will be more than enough to get you started in the right direction. But of course, as you will do more and more practice, you will produce your own questions. But remember, probing is very important and don't be shy from asking the questions. Because if you can't ask the questions, you will never be able to resolve the issue. Our next topic is how to research the solution. Alright, you got an issue and you probed the customer. You have validated that the issue is reproducible. Now what next? Well, there are different kind of issues and different approaches, which I will discuss in the next sections. However, in a lot of cases, you will find that whatever you know, it's not working. And in those cases, your best friend is Google. However, I just want to touch upon the basics of searching in Google. Copy and search the exact error message in the Google. Where possible, do not try to type the error. Copy and paste it. So, in a lot of cases, when the customer is doing something, an error pop-up will come up, or maybe if you go to the event viewer of the computer, you will find some errors there. And I'll show you the event viewer of the computer, by the way. I haven't shown that to you so far. So in the event viewer of the computer, you can see a lot of errors are getting logged up. So just copy those error messages and search exactly those error messages in Google. And where possible, put them in double quotes. And I'll show you how to do that. So if you have an error message, let's say, and you go to Google, and this is your Google, and you want to search for an error message. So you search, you basically don't type it. I don't have an error message. That's why I'm doing this. Page cannot be displayed. So you put it in double quotes. What happens in double quotes is that Google is going to search for the exact phrase, the exact error message. And then you will get the specific articles where that exact error message is come up. If you don't put it in double quotes, then Google will search for all kind of combinations. So try to put it in double quotes. What next? If the error contains the name If the error contains the name of a PC or the environment specific variables, then search for a subsection of the error. So in a lot of cases, what happens is the whole error message contains the name of the PC or maybe some other variable from the local machine, maybe its IP address or something else. In those cases, make sure that you do not put those name of the PC and the IP addresses in the double quotes, because if you're searching for that, Google is going to look for that exact phrase, and that's highly improbable that that would have happened to a PC which is same name as your PC and which has the same IP as your PC, and even that person would have went ahead and registered for the solution in Google or on some article on some website. So search for the generic error message, part of the error message which is common to everybody who would have had this issue. Don't try to put the name of the machines or the IP address of the machines or specific information of your local machine in Google. Even if you have to search, let's say there is two part of error messages, page cannot be displayed, and then there is a machine name, and then there is second part of the error. So you can just double quotes end before the machine name, and then you start another double quotes, and you can write the second part of the error message here like this, and then you can search for both of them together. But omit the name, IP or any specific information of your machine from the search, otherwise you will not get any results. Search for the error codes if available. So in a lot of situations, you will see that along with the big line string of error, there would be an error code. So just copy the error code and put it in double quotes and put it in Google and search for it. And you will see that you will find a lot more information just with the error code. And search in double quotes where possible. So I am already been saying that search in double quotes, so I think that's good enough. Linear and logical approach. Very often people try to troubleshoot an issue and they keep jumping from one hop to another, and it is not a very smart thing to do that. You have to go very systematically when you are trying to search for an issue. You should maintain some kind of a documentation as well along with you, where you keep noting down what you have done, and maybe even before you start troubleshooting the issue, make a list of steps for yourself that this is the approach which I am going to follow. Believe me, a lot of these steps will become useless for you once you are a bit experienced. But that should happen because you are too experienced, and that you are probably executing those steps in your head even if you are not writing them on a piece of paper. And you are eliminating those steps in your head. And you should not leave those steps because you simply forgot to do that. As a starter, it's very important that you look at an issue and you make a plan or steps which you will follow. It is going to be based on the approach that we have taught you a bit of fundamentals, and then the second approach, we are also going to tell you the approach angle for a lot of issues in this module. So based on those approach angles, you can make some kind of a plan for yourself to follow. Take every step in that plan and note down the outcome of the steps in your notes. This may sound a lot, but most of the times when it's not done, people lose track of the troubleshooting and they are unable to solve the stuff even which they could have been because they simply missed one step. So it's very important that you take a linear and logical approach to troubleshooting. Next topic which I want to explain to you is Device Manager. Device Manager is a console in Windows machine where all hardware devices which are part of a given computer are shown. The shortcut to open the Device Manager is go to Run, and you can do Start Run, or now in Windows 10 you can make a right click on the Start button and then go to Run, or you can press Windows R. The shortcut works in all flavor of Windows, and then you type devmgmt.msc and you click on OK. Most devices are categorized under the sections like network cards, display devices, keyboards, etc. This is a screenshot of Device Manager. You can see that it has Bluetooth devices, it has computers, you have got display adapters, you have got cameras, you have got audio devices. So all kind of hardware devices are here. All hardware devices have a driver which can be defined as a software which make them work with a given operating system. When you attach a new hardware to your PC, you will need to install appropriate version based on the correct operating system which you are using there, driver from the website to your computer. So whenever you are putting a hardware, you'll have to go to the website of the hardware manufacturing company, and you'll have to download the appropriate driver, which is going to be compatible with your version of operating system on your computer, and install it. In most cases, Windows nowadays already have a built-in driver for common devices, and they will automatically be installed for you when you attach a hardware. Which means that you don't have to manually download and install the driver. Windows will install the most compatible driver for you automatically. However, if your device has an advanced functionality that a standard device doesn't have, like if you have some awesome kind of a keyboard which is different than the most regular keyboards, or if your mouse has some additional functionality, some additional buttons which are not there in the standard mouse software, then in those cases it is best for you to download the appropriate driver from your manufacturer's website and install it on your computer. Nowadays, manufacturers also offer just a driver file which is a few KB, and they also offer a bundle of software which includes the driver file as well as a lot of software things to make your hardware function really nicely and for you to be able to use all the functionalities very correctly. And all these device things and the driver things are done in Device Manager. So if there is a device, if it's a mouse, it's a camera, it's a keyboard, or if it's a speaker or any hardware device which is on your computer, you will see it in the Device Manager, and you can come to Device Manager and you can right click and go to the properties of the Device Manager, and you can update the driver for it, or you can uninstall the driver for it. Now, what about spotting the issues in Device Manager? In most cases, if there is a problem with Device Manager, or if there is a problem with any device, its driver, then you will see a yellow exclamation or a red cross on that device in Device Manager console. You can see here, the Canon MX350 has a yellow exclamation on it. You can right click and go to properties of this device and try to update it from there. So in those cases, what you can do is that as long as you know your device, just go to the manufacturer's website, download the specific driver for yourself, and go ahead and right click on the device here and update the driver. Give it the path of the file where the driver file is there, and just follow the prompts, and it will install the driver for you. If for any reason you need to uninstall a device from your computer, you can right click on the device, uninstall it from the Device Manager. Now, this only means that the device driver will be uninstalled from the PC. If the hardware is attached to the PC, then you will have to actually go ahead and manually remove it from there. As you can see in the photo above, it is also possible to disable the devices if you really want to disable those devices on your computer, and they can be helpful when any new device is causing some kind of an issue to your computer. Like at times we have seen that you attach a new device and it raises a conflict and you get into some kind of a crash situation, the PC crashes, or there is a blue screen issue or something like that. So in those issues, you can go ahead and disable the device as well once you identify which device is causing it. The next tool which I want to talk about is Safeboot. A general Windows PC or a server provides an alternate bare shell mode to boot in. It's called as safe mode. So the normal mode in which you boot in your computer, that is called as normal mode, and this is an alternate mode which is available. It's called as safe mode. Safe mode is a version of Windows where bare essential only Microsoft components like drivers, etc. start up, which means all non-Microsoft devices, drivers and applications which are installed on your PC will not boot up in this mode. Normal user never uses a PC in safe mode because most of the things on which you want to work like Adobe or Outlook and other stuff, they are not working in safe mode. Like I mentioned that it is a bare essential which works here. This mode is only used for diagnostic and troubleshooting purposes. Like for example, if your PC is giving you any kind of error message in normal mode, or it is unable to boot in normal mode, then you can boot it in safe mode to see if the error persists in safe mode or if the PC can boot in safe mode or not. Because if the error persists or if the PC is unable to boot in safe mode, then most likely the problem is with Microsoft files, which may require a different mode to fix it, like repairing the Windows using System File Checker or maybe reinstalling the Windows. And if the error is not there in the safe mode, then there are other approaches which you can use, and which means that the problem is not with Windows but with the application which is installed on top of Windows. How to get into the safe mode? Well, Windows version up to Windows 7 allowed you to tab on F7 on your keyboard repeatedly to get into the boot menu. So as soon as the computer booted up, you could have tapped F7 on your computer to get into the boot menu, and usually the boot menu looks like this. So this is the advanced boot option, and here you can select safe mode or safe mode with networking and safe mode with command prompt. Quickly, safe mode is without networking, it is the bare shell. Safe mode with networking means that at least the network drivers are loaded up so you can connect to the network. And then safe mode with command prompt basically means that it's a black screen, so no GUI is launched. You get into safe mode and there is just a black screen. So up till Windows 7, you could have tapped on F7 repeatedly to get into the safe mode. But usually the latest PCs, Windows 10, have become too fast, and partly because they have a solid state drive SSD now coming as standard, that this option doesn't work. So in such cases, you must follow a different approach. Now this is an article which tells you different ways to start your PC in safe mode. I'll not go too deep into it, but make sure that you practice and figure out a few ways that how you can boot in safe mode. So let me go ahead and copy this here, and I will show you how you can get into safe mode. Okay, so there are a few things which you can do. So from your settings menu, you can go to recovery settings, advanced options, startup settings, and from there you can go to safe mode, and again there are options like enable safe mode here, so you can do this. So these are various options which are available in Windows 10 to get into safe mode. So you have some of these options. The versions before Windows 10 also had various options, but honestly guys, this changes pretty often, and there are sometimes the process even change between different version of the hardware which you are using, like from a Lenovo to a HPE. So the important thing to remember is that what is safe mode and how to get in safe mode, that you need to learn on the fly, or I would say that just figure out how to get in safe mode on your computer and figure out a few different ways, because there could be. Alright, so that covers the safe mode. Next thing which I want to talk about is add and remove program. It is important to understand how to install or uninstall a program for a PC or a Mac. Usually most users just double click on an installation package which is in form of an executable file like an exe or maybe an MSI package, and the wizard install the program for them. So you usually don't see how the program gets installed. You basically just download the file and double click on it and follow the prompts and it gets installed. However, it's important to understand that there is a specific section in Windows control panel which shows you the list of the programs that are installed on your PC and let you uninstall or repair them. It was called as add and remove program earlier. However, in the latest Windows version, it is renamed as programs and features. So as you can see in Windows XP, it's called add remove program. Windows 7 onwards, it's being called as programs and features. The same console can also be used to add features to your Windows installation. Features can be defined as the softwares which are already available in your computer, but they are not enabled or installed. So the setup for them is already available, but they are not installed. One such feature is called as Telnet client. So you can see here, turn on Windows feature on and off. So you can click on it and you can install features like Telnet client, or there are various other features like I think Windows 10 you can even install IIS on it, and Windows 10 also let you install Hyper-V on it. So all those things can be installed via the features here. Installing application on Mac is a little different. You just, there is no add remove program. You basically have this application folder, and what you have to do is that you just download the application, you double click on it, and it pretty much gives you an option to copy the application package into application folder, and that's what you can do. And when you have to delete the application, you basically just right click on it and say delete or move to bin, like here. So that's how you delete the application from a Mac. That completes add and remove program. The next topic which I want to get into, printer installation, because printer installation is something which you will be doing pretty often. Printer installation is a common problem which most users face, and you should know how to install a printer. To set the expectation correct, there is a huge variety of printer which can be categorized with various parameters. There are inkjet printers and there are laser printers. Inkjet printing is a type of computer printing that recreates digital image by propelling ink droplets onto a paper. Basically, it is the ink which is getting printed on the paper. They are cheaper to buy, but they are useless in long term because the ink actually dries up very quickly. The only good use of them is that if you really want to print a photograph, they are really good in reproducing those results. And the second point is they are really cheap, so a lot of people buy them for the price, but on a longer term, I don't find them cheap because they actually break pretty quickly. Whereas a laser printer is linked to a computer producing good quality printed material by using laser toner in form of pattern electrostatically charged dots on a light sensitive drum. So basically there is a hot drum and there is a lot of toner. A toner is dried up powder, dry ink powder, and this toner is transferred on a piece of paper because of the heating which is done by the drum. So it's a better technology. The simple way I differentiate between inkjet and a laser printer is that laser printer uses a powder, a dry ink, whereas the inkjet uses the wet ink, and the inkjet printer goes bad very easily because the ink dries up, whereas the laser printer, the powders usually don't dry up. Laser printer are excellent printer. They are very fast and they are very durable. Toner powder, it never dries up and can be used for a very long amount of time. The second categorization between the printers is a multifunction printer versus a solo printer. Multifunction printer combines a printer, scanner, copier, and in some cases fax into a single unit. It can be both a laser printer or an inkjet printer. Like that is a MFC L3750CDW, which is a brother laser printer. It's a multifunction printer and a really amazing unit. On the right hand side is a solo printer. It just print and there is no other functionality available in it, and it can be again both a laser printer or an inkjet printer. Most common printer only supports the maximum size of A4 paper, but organization needs printer which can support bigger printouts like A3 and letter. So the next categorization of printer comes in between the size of the printer. Regular printers are like A4 printer, which do A4, does print envelopes, and basically A4 and smaller sizes can print from it. And all these are examples of A4 printer, which you can see here. However, organization needs bigger printer, and most of the big organizations you will see these printers, these huge printers are used, and they are called as A3 printer because they can print on A3 paper size and they also can print on letter paper size, and they are usually pretty fast and they good printing as well, and they have other functionality available on them too. So these are the three categories in which the printers can be divided: inkjet or laser, multifunction or solo, and A3, that is the big printer versus the regular A4 printers. Now that we understand different kind of printers, it is at most important for us to understand that no matter whatever is the size, shape or type of the printer, installation process of the printer is going to remain the same. Don't ever be intimidated by the size of the printer. If you know how to install a printer which is probably an inkjet printer worth $30, you can also install a big A3 printer which is probably a $100,000 printer, because the process for installation of the printer on a PC is exactly the same. Printer installation consists of two parts: connectivity and driver. Printer connections can be USB. So small printers usually only support connectivity via a USB cable directly to the computer to which they are attached. This is very limiting as they can be accessed via one PC only, and physical location of the printer needs to be close to the computer, and most organizations will not use this method. This is usually used by like small home offices or individual users. They just connect their computer with a USB cable to a printer and they just print via the USB cable. So this is a very a limited kind of an environment, and most decent organizations you would never see a USB printer setup. In most big organizations, you will find the big A3 printers, and they will be on the network. The second method is the network connection. Most decent printer will have an option to connect to your local network via a network cable, and some will also support the Wi-Fi connection. But whatever the method is, they are on the network and they have an IP for themselves, and then they get installed to all the PCs in the office. So like you can see in this photo, the printer is connected to the router or the switch, you may say, and all the computers are also connected to the same switch. They are on the same sub network, and they can print to all the computers can reach to the printer to give the printout. So this is a network printer which we are talking about here. So like I said, printer installation consists of two parts, connectivity and driver. Connectivity can be USB and network. Now the driver. Now that connectivity is sorted, let's look at the real installation. Both PC and Mac have an add printer option available via the printer and scanner page or printer or fax console. When you start adding a printer, it gives you an option to add via USB or via a network port. You have to choose the appropriate option based on your connectivity. If you choose network, it will ask you to provide the IP address of the printer. And in some cases, it will quickly scan your network to find the available printers. Once you choose your printer, the next thing which you have to provide is the driver which you are going to use. Once again, both Microsoft and Mac have a lot of built-in drivers into them, which it will pick up and in most cases will work fine. But if your printer have advanced functionality like duplex printing or maybe some other advanced feature, then you may want to download and get your own driver from the printer manufacturer website, because the default driver which Microsoft provide may not give you access to those functionalities. For multifunction printers, it is best to download and install the whole software package on your PC, as it will give you access to all their console features like print, fax, scan from a single software. However, you can choose to install printer and scanner separately as well using the Windows default wizard. Advanced multifunction printers. Big multifunction printers are a mini computer in themselves, and they can have various advanced functionality to ease the use. General functionality like scan to folder, scan to email are accessed by users directly from printer screen. So there is like a small control panel screen which I showed you here. These are the screens of the printer. So a lot of users, they access these advanced functionalities, scan to folder and scan to email, directly from the printer screen. So what are these functionalities? Scan to folder. When configured with the SMB shared folder, just read it as a shared folder which you guys already know of, they can save a scanned document directly on your PC or file server. So basically a user walks up to the printer, put his document on the scan bed and press the scan button, and the scan directly reaches to a shared folder which he has access to. And he doesn't have to like go to his computer and request the scan, it pretty automatically. Similarly, scan to email is a feature where the user is going to scan the document and the printer is going to email the scanned document directly to his email address. So that's even more convenient. AirPrint. It's an Apple protocol which, when supported by the printers, they can print directly from any iOS or a Mac device without the need of installation, as long as these two are in the same network. So my printer supports AirPrint. So what I can do is that I can open any document on my iPhone or iPad or any other Apple device, and I can just go to print and click on print. I don't have to install any app for my printer. I don't have to install any other kind of a device driver on my phone. It will just go ahead and pick up the AirPrint device automatically, look for it on the network, and it will print directly to my printer. Similarly, Google Print is an option. Google Cloud Print is a Google service that lets the user print from Cloud Print Aware application on any device in the network cloud to any printer with the native support of connecting to Cloud Print. So basically what happens is that you log into the console of your printer and you go ahead and configure it as a Google Cloud Print device with your Gmail address, and then from a Chrome browser where you have signed in with your Gmail address or your Google address, your printer will start showing up there. No matter where in the world you are, you can give a printout and it will come to your printer, which is at your office or at home. So that's Google Cloud Print. Address book. You can save your organization's usernames, their scan to folder targets, and their email addresses for quick options. So below here, this is an address book. So like I said, that there is scan to email and scan to folder configurations which are available. So if there are 20 users in the office, everybody can have a different folder where they want to have their scans received. Everybody will have different email addresses where they want to have their emails received. So what we have is an address book like this, where we provide the user's email address and their scan to folder targets. And when a user walks in and clicks on his name and scans his document, the document will directly reach to that folder or will get emailed to the user. So that's why you have the address book. All right, now I just wanted to quickly get into my Windows 10 machine. This is once again an Azure machine on which I'm working. And I want to show you a few things which we just discussed about. So I'm going to quickly look into Device Manager. So devmgmt.msc. So this is how your Device Manager looks like. This is basically some information about your chipset. These are the audio and video devices. So a lot of the devices meanings and you may not understand directly, and in those cases you can just Google about them, because these are very intricate details about certain things. But the most important thing for you to understand is that if you are having a problem with any hardware device, any driver issue or something not working, then Device Manager could be a correct place to start with. Like you can see here, there's a yellow exclamation on unknown device, so there could be some device which is not working properly. You can start by getting in the details here. That's not giving much details. Again, this is something which you can try to look at. You can copy this code and put it in Google in double quotes and try to see what comes up. But yeah, this is the right place for you to look at the various device drivers, hardware devices which are connected to your PC, and to be able to see what is the issue with them, or if you're trying to resolve something, then you can go ahead and look at that particular thing and try to, let's say that your mouse is not able to perform a particular action, you have an advanced mouse, so you can go ahead and maybe do an update driver here, and you can download the driver from the mouse specific website, and you can browse, and then you can give it the path of that driver so that that driver can get updated on your PC. So that's about Device Manager. The other option which we wanted to discuss was the Add Remove Program, or the Programs and Features console. Once again, you can go from here to Settings, and then from there you can go to maybe Add Remove Programs somewhere. But the easy thing which I'm going to tell you is that if you remember the shortcuts of everything like I do, then you don't have to get confused between the different operating systems, and because these things always remains the same. So for me, Add Remove Program will always remain appwiz.cpl, and I'm not going to care about anything else, how Microsoft decide to put it any which way. Now you can see this is a brand new computer. There is only one program installed on it, and that is Microsoft OneDrive. And if I want to, I can go ahead and uninstall it from here. And let's see, I only give me an uninstall option. In certain programs, it will also give me a repair option. When we look into Microsoft Office, then you will see that we have a repair option here as well. It also gives you the list of the updates which are installed on your computer. So in case you want to uninstall any certain update from your computer, you can do it from here. And this is the control panel home once again. So that's that. Now we wanted to do printers, right? So yep, this is the printers and scanners console, and you can basically say add a printer, and it is searching for a printer. It's going to look on your local network, and when it is not going to find, if it finds a printer, you can just directly select it and click next, 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 and it can do that. Or otherwise you can say printer wasn't listed here. So it gives you the default console which you can use to install the printer. So the default option is my printer is a little old, help me find it. I don't do that. The second option is printer with a shared name. So remember I told you about the USB printer. So what happens is that if you have installed, if you have an old USB printer and you can't put it on network, you still want it to be able to print from different devices in your office, what you can do is that you can install it on one computer, and like you share a folder, you can right click and share the printer. And when you go into printer property, you share it, it basically becomes a shared resource and it is available as a shared printer to other people. And in those cases, what you can do is that you can go ahead and say whack that computer name, whatever it is, and backslash printer name. Or once again, if you go here and do a whack, if a printer is shared on a computer and you go to that computer name, I'm just using that computer name. That's not the computer name. It could be anything. Or maybe you can use the IP address of that computer. And then when you click on the enter, the box will open up. This will error out because this doesn't exist. Then you will get the exact path for that printer and you can put it here. And then a shared printer from another computer can be used on this computer. But the problem with that approach is that that other computer needs to be turned on all the time for that printer to work, and that's not a very good solution. The best way, I use a printer. I have never used a Bluetooth, or I have used a local printer, yes. The best way to use the printer is add local printer or network printer with manual settings, and you go next and you say use existing port. You don't use LPT port anymore. You will say that I want to use you say you want to use standard TCP/IP port. You say create a new port, and you go ahead and you put the IP address of your printer, which you should know. You have to know the IP of the printer beforehand, and you put it here, and then you basically click next. It's going to search for the printer and it will be able to pick up the driver. Now remember, I don't have a printer here in this network, so it's not going to be able to find it. So this is useless, but I just wanted to show you how to install a printer. So you just follow this approach. Like I said, in most cases, you will be going with this, you will be choosing this option, and then you will be choosing create a new port, and you will be choosing standard TCP IP port, and then you basically go ahead and put the name and the IP address of the printer, and you click on next, and in most cases it will pick up the driver by itself. But if it does not, or if you want to put your own driver because some of the functionalities of the printer are not coming up because of the default driver, then you have to go to the website of your printer and you have to download the driver. I'll quickly go to a website of a printer here. So let me go to Brother printers, and I go to let's say Brother USA, and you select a printer, and come on, price contact solutions, all in one. MFC. Let's say that we search for this and we go to maybe support. I'm sure there is a direct way to go to this website, and I'm just taking a long path here. So this way, you let's say you knew the model number of your printer. If you just put it in Google directly, let me try this, MFC, Google. I say download driver and this, and I say search. So I directly go to the page of Brother, and I said that you have to choose the correct operating system. So always remember that you will be choosing the correct operating system: Mac, Windows, Linux, mobile, whatever you want to. And Then you go ahead and select the Windows version which you have. Then you say OK. Then you say OK. And then I told you there is a full driver and software packages available which will give you access to all the functionality. Look at the size of this package. So you can just download and install this whole package. It will find out your printer. It will do the whole shabam for you. Or people like me, that they find this to be too overwhelming and we don't want to install a huge package on our computer. So what we do is that we just download the driver. So this is a wizard. Driver is probably, this one includes driver and still have something else, otherwise it will not be a 42 MB file. And there are various tools and utilities which are available, so you can download them and you can find the right driver which you want. This is basically the driver, so you can download the driver from here and you can extract the driver, and then when you are following the install printer wizard, in that case you can go ahead and when it asks you for the driver, you can go ahead and click browse and you can look for the driver file and you can provide the driver file. So that's how you install a printer. And the main thing which you have to remember is that whether it's a A3 printer or whether it is a inkjet printer worth $30, the process of installation is going to remain the same. You don't have to get overwhelmed with the size of the printer. Okay, let's go back, and we have done the printer. Now let's go back to our training. Troubleshooting slow PC. PC slowness usually results from shortage of resources. The three resources which we know of is the processing power or the processor, the RAM availability, and the HDD availability or usability, the hard drive. So we ideally just need to find out what other applications or processes are taking all these resources and causing the slowness. Then it's just a matter of taking care of the problem application. For a Windows PC, you just need to pull up the task manager to identify what's causing the slowness. Right click on the taskbar and open task manager. You can identify which app is causing the slowness by looking at the resources. You can also sort it by the utilization and you can identify what's causing the slowness. Let me quickly go here and let me open the task manager and more details. And you can see here, so I sorted by CPU. I can see that task manager is taking maximum CPU. Now Windows as your guest agent is taking the CPU. So whatever it is, I can actually go ahead and kill the task like this. Or if it is the memory which is getting bottled, then you will see what application is taking the maximum memory, and you can either end task it or you can try to figure out some solution. See, once you know what's causing the problem, you can actually go to Google and you can look up for why this program or this process is taking so much of memory. There will be a lot of people like you who would have had the same issue, and if you read thoroughly enough, you will find the issue. As you can see, disk is almost 0% utilized, so we love it. But when the disk becomes highly utilized, that's when you see that the machine gets really slow. So if we go here, then we have got CPU once again. You can see here memory. You can see here disk is here, this is here. You can also open resource monitor. This is another advanced tool which gives you more detail into how the performance of the PC is going on. So you can look here, it is the CPU and the disk. Yep. So this is the CPU. Once again, you can look at the CPU utilization here and you get to know that what's taking a lot of CPU. Then you go to disk and it will tell you what is taking the disk and whether you are writing a lot to it or whether you are reading a lot to it. So you can see what application, this here exactly tells you which application is taking the disk, which application is taking the read and write operations. And yeah, you just have to figure out what's eating your computer resources and then just take care of that application. You can also see what's using the network, but network usually don't cause the kind of slowness which you will notice on a PC. And this is the RAM. So the RAM, again, the RAM utilization you can see from here. And there is a dedicated tabs for them as well. So this is a good place where you can start looking into when you are causing when there is a slowness on your computer, and you can figure out how you can resolve this thing. That's your task manager and resource monitor. Once you have identified what's consuming a lot of resources, you have multiple options to fix the issue. Like, you can simply remove the application, just go to add remove program, appwiz.cpl, and uninstall it. Or you can educate the user to close the application when they are not using it, so that they don't waste the resources with that application. You can Google for issues related to that application causing the slowness and troubleshoot accordingly. Or if you see that it's not really causing the slowness, or maybe it's just that the PC is so old, or maybe like I told you, the hard drive is a hard drive, and it is causing the slowness because there is a lot of data which is there and there is not enough space on it. Maybe you can try to do a defragmentation of the drive, but believe me, that's not going to help you a lot. Just go ahead and convince the user to upgrade to an SSD. Upgrade to SSD, a solid state drive, and it will be running fast like anything. So yeah, you just have to figure out what is causing the slowness, and the task manager and the performance monitor is a perfect tool for you to identify the reason for it. Next issue, unable to browse internet, or maybe slowness in internet. So how do we do it? Well, it's simple. I'm just going to show you on the computer. So number one thing which I'm going to look for is if there is a yellow exclamation here, because yellow exclamation basically means that the machine is not getting the internet. And that could be problem number one. Validate the IP address in the default gateway. So I go to CMD, the command prompt, I do ipconfig, and I make sure that I'm getting a correct IP address. When I say correct IP address, sometimes there is a problem with the DHCP server. I hope you understand that term now. And for some reason, this machine is not able to obtain the IP address from the DHCP server. And in those cases, what happens is that this machine gets something which is called as an APIPA IP address. And that APIPA IP address starts with 169.254. It doesn't matter what is after that. Like I have told you, there is a class A, class B, class C IP address. So this IP address, starting with 169.254, is reserved for host IP addresses, or basically the network card assign itself an IP address like this when it is unable to obtain an IP address. Funny story, like I said, that class A, class B, class C are just there so that we follow the best practices. But in your own local network or local router, it is your wish what kind of IP addresses you want to run. And with one of our customers, we went to their organization and there was something happening, some network issue or something, and we started looking into a couple of PCs, and all of them had a PIPA IP address, and we were very confused, like, why is that? And they were working fine. And it was very confusing for us that why and how a machine within a PIPA IP address can be working fine. Very soon we discovered that their network admin decided to use 169.254 as a network range for their local domain. Now, nobody can stop him from doing that, but that definitely wasted a couple of hours for us, because we were scratching our head that how can with the PIPA IP address these machines are communicating. For those machines, it was not the PIPA IP address. For those machines, it was a local network subnet. Anyways, so the number one thing which we are going to make sure is that our IP address is correct, like it's not an PIPA IP address. We have the default gateway populated. And next thing which we can also see is if we have the DNS server configured on it, so we can do ipconfig all. And this is where we see, this is .169.254, this is 168. Remember that. Okay, this is fine. We look at the DNS server. Yes, the DNS server is there. So that is fine. Usually, when you look at your machines, your DNS server will also be in a range of the same local IP addresses. My DNS server looks like this weird because this is coming from Azure, and this is not my local DNS server. And the DHCP also is not controlled by me. It's controlled by Azure. So that's why this DNS server. However, I can go into my Azure network and update my DNS servers if I wish to. But so far I have left it default, and that's why we are getting IP addresses like this. Okay, the next thing which we can try to do is, the first linear and logical troubleshooting step is that you ping yourself. You're unable to browse internet, go to the machine and ping yourself. Okay? 127.0.0.1, the loopback IP address. So you ping yourself. Also ping yourself with your IPv4 address. What is your IPv4 address? 10.0.0.6. So ping yourself 10.0.0.6. Okay? You're getting a response from here. Alright, so the next thing which you can try to do is you can try to ping your default gateway. Default gateway is the next hop after your PC to go to the internet. Remember in our analogy of the rooms and the hotels and the floor was a local subnet, and when you have to go out of the subnet, you have to take the lift. And the door number or the IP address to the lift or the router is called as the default gateway. So we need to make sure that we are able to reach to the default gateway, because only when we are able to reach to the default gateway, then only we can reach out. So we are going to ping our default gateway and make sure that we are able to reach default gateway. Because if we are not able to reach the default gateway, that means the problem is between my PC and the first router between my PC, and I need to troubleshoot that. The next thing which I can do is I can try to ping 4.2.2.2. This is a universal DNS server. I used to call it the Amazon DNS server, but I don't know if it is Amazon or whatever, but this is a DNS server. And you try to ping this IP address. This is outside your network. This is out there somewhere on internet. So if you are able to ping this IP address, this basically means that you are definitely able to reach to the internet. Because if you are able to reach this IP address, that means you are going all the way out from your network and reaching the internet. The next thing which you can try to do is ping google.com. If you are able to ping google.com, what happened here is that you ping the name. That means you not just ping the name, you actually reached out to a DNS server and resolved the IP address. So, because you can only ping an IP address, and you actually pinged 142.250.66.174, and you got a response. This proved two things. One, that you can reach out to the internet. Or in fact, one, that you can resolve the name of Google to an IP address. And two, that you can reach out to that IP address. So, quite honestly speaking, if you are able to do all this, then very certain that your internet is working. Even after this, if your internet is not working, then the problem is probably with your browser. There is some problem with your browser, and this problem could be that internet, wow, settings, advanced, wow. This is a bit changed. This is an Edge browser. So I don't know where to go to look into the settings which I'm looking for. So I'll just go to the control panel. I'm actually trying to open the internet options. So I go here and I look for internet options. Okay, and connections and LAN settings. So usually, sometimes people define a proxy server. Proxy server is kind of a filtering server. Once again, when we say a proxy server, it will be a Windows server on which, or it could be a device, a default device which somebody would have bought from Symantec or any other service provider. And you basically install a proxy server to keep a tab on the network traffic which is happening in your office, and you put the proxy server IP address here, which is 1.1.1.1. It could be, I don't know what's the proxy server IP address. Let's say in this environment it's 10.0.0.89. This could be the proxy server, and we defined it. Now what happens is that every traffic which goes out from my machine will go via this proxy server. See, despite of everything working, let's see here, ping google.com. I'm still able to ping google.com, but I'm not able to connect to a website. Why? Because what I did was that in my internet options, I defined a proxy server. And that proxy server basically means that it is supposed to, all the traffic is supposed to go via this proxy server to reach out to internet when it is initiated from a browser. Now, if this proxy server has a problem, like in my case, this proxy server doesn't exist, then my browser will not be able to browse internet. So this is a proxy issue. Now I remove the proxy server. Voila, it's working. So this is a linear and logical troubleshooting approach. Once again, I will just go through with you what I tried to do. I look for the red X or a yellow exclamation. I look for the IP address and the default gateway. I try to ping the PC itself. I try to ping the default gateway. I try to ping 4.2.2. I try to ping google.com. I try to use NSLookup. I didn't show you how to use NSLookup, and I also didn't show you what is a host file. So let me show you that. NSLookup is a tool which you can use to query the DNS. So if there is a DNS problem on your machine, then what would have happened is that ping google.com would have timed out, and it would have said that it cannot find google.com. Let me show you something else. Let's say that I try to ping h2h3.com, okay? Maybe this is a non-existent domain. This is also an existent domain, h2h3. Okay, I'm just making it up now. Okay, ping request cannot find the host. So if there was a DNS issue, pinging google.com would have resulted in a result like this. And that would have told me that there is a DNS issue. What I would do, I would go ahead and look at NSLookup. And here I go ahead and say google.com. This is when you click on do NSLookup, the first IP which comes up is your DNS server, which it is using right now. And it resolves google.com, okay? But assuming a situation that there was a problem with this DNS server because of which my internet browsing was interrupted and it wasn't working, what I would do, I would try to use another Google internet server. And for that, I say server. And remember the IP address which I told you, this is a global DNS server. And I set my DNS server to 4.2.2. And then I go ahead and say google.com. So let's assume, okay, two of the hops timed out, but in the third hop it gave us the information, which is fine. So in a situation where your DNS server is unable to work and Google, this 4.2.2 DNS server, for that matter, any other DNS server that you know of, starts to work for you, what you can do is that on your individual PC, you can go to the network card of your PC, ncpa.cpl, and you go here and you go to TCP IPv4 and you go ahead and put that IP address of the DNS server here. As simple as that. This is a Azure machine. I'm not going to do it here because they are very, very picky about their IP addresses. We shouldn't be doing this here. But on a machine where you are facing the problem, you can go ahead and put this DNS server and then you can see, wow, internet started to work. So it's a very logical and step-by-step approach which happens. One more thing which I want to show you is the host files. So what is a host file? Host file is a local DNS in your machine. So what I do is it's a specific path. Yes. Okay. So you go to this path, and what I used there was an environmental variable. It is a defined name, drivers. I just put it in run and this opened this for me. And I go here and I go to the host file. I will open it in Notepad. What I can do is I'll just show you. By default, my computer is going to the DNS to resolve the name of google.com. What I can do is I can create an entry here to supersede the google.com. So I will say google.com exists on 1.1.1.1, which it honestly doesn't exist. It won't let me save it here. It did. Awesome. Yes, it did. So now what happened is, if you do NSLookup, it's still going to the server, and if I go to google.com, it still responds me with an correct IP address of Google. But if I try to ping google.com on my computer, it will go to 1.1.1, which is, I don't know why it is responding. I don't know what IP that is, but it went there. Let's see if I can still open google.com. Ideally speaking, I should not be able to. Yep. Why? Because I superseded google.com with an entry in my host file. Now this host file comes very handy when you are doing some kind of a troubleshooting for which you want to deflect your network traffic from the IP address which is giving on internet or on your DNS server to something else for a short while or longer while for any reason. You just need to understand what is the host file and what is the location of it. Once again, you go to the host file. The easier way to do it on any version of Windows is that you go to run window and you type drivers here, and then you go to etc here, and then it is the host file. Ignore all the other files here, and you open the host file and you go ahead and put whatever you want to put. Let's say that I want to block facebook.com on this PC. What I'll do is I'll put facebook.com here, and now suddenly this machine can't go to facebook.com. I don't know why it went there. So ping facebook.com. I will close it. Okay, maybe because it's going to www.facebook.com, that's what it is changing. So what I'm going to do, I'll once again go to my host file and I will make it www.facebook.com. Okay. Okay, now it's trying. Hopefully it will time out now. So that is the power of a host file. If something goes wrong in a host file, then suddenly a particular website may stop working. So it's quite possible that a user will say that everything else is working on his computer fine, but for some reason a particular website is not working. And sometimes what third-party applications do, or a lot of anti-malware applications or any other kind of application which you install, they go ahead and make an entry on your host file for some reason. And these kind of activities, then like you can see here, it supersedes everything else, your local host file. It basically breaks your DNS resolution, and it caused you to time out on the websites like facebook.com and google.com, etc. So these kind of things is what causes these issues. And if something like this happens, you will have to close it. You'll have to flush your DNS. ipconfig flush DNS is an option to clear the cache within your DNS. You should remember this command. Again, an interview question. ipconfig is for checking the IPs. ipconfig all is for checking IP along with DNS information. And ipconfig flush DNS is to flush the DNS. Once again, you go ahead and flush the DNS. You look at the host file. And after that, hopefully the website should start working. Let me go ahead and try Google, and it's still not working. What happened? Notepad. It didn't get deleted. So save. Let me try again. Yep, it's gone now. So I'll do a flush DNS again. And I'll do a google.com again. Close it. I'll have a look at it again. Yep, this looks good. I will restart it. And I will begin with facebook.com. Facebook has started to work. I'll start google.com. Okay, Google has started to work as well. So you saw that how the host file acts up. So yep, that was about the host file, NSLookup. NSLookup is an amazing tool. You can look into various things using NSLookup, and it's an amazing troubleshooting tool. I told you there are multiple kind of DNS record. I can use it to search for different DNS records. Like I can look for MX records from it. set type equals to MX. Okay, let me look at the MX record for my company. Yep, so it shows the MX record. We are pointed to Office 365. That you can see from here. You can look for gmail.com, and these are the SMTP records for the Gmail. So all these information, NSLOOKUP is a really awesome tool which you can use for troubleshooting. You should know more and more about it. All right, so that's how you identify and fix a slow PC or slow internet issue. I didn't talk about slowness, so I'll quickly talk about it. In most cases, what you will find is that if there is a slowness, your packets will be getting dropped. So ping 4.2.2.2, this response time of 89 millisecond will increase too much. Like it will become 400 millisecond or 600 millisecond, and your replies will not be constant. And what you can do is that you can run a continuous ping by using the switch -t, and the time here will increase. It will become 500 millisecond, 700 millisecond, or maybe you'll get one response and you will get two requests timed out. And these kind of issues you will see cause the slowness of your internet. And then you have to identify where is the slowness happening. Is it the slowness between, let's say that you are getting a timeout on 4.2.2, which is outside your internet. So the next thing which I will do is I will try to ping my local router, which is my default gateway. And I should see that whether I'm getting a timeout there as well. Because if I'm getting a timeout to my local router, which is just next to me in my office, then definitely there is a problem at my end, which I need to resolve. But if I'm able to reach to my router correctly, and it is after my router when I'm trying to go out on internet where I'm facing the issue, then I might have to talk to my internet service provider and ask them, what can we do to resolve the issue? So this is a very linear approach which you can take to resolve internet issues. And this is like black and white when you are able to see it in your head clearly. All right, so the next thing which I want to talk about is clean boot. What is clean boot? This has something to do with safe mode. When you have an issue in normal mode of the PC, like a pop-up of an error or slowness or any unexpected error or anything else which I may not have said here, it's always linear and logical approach to validate if the issue persists in safe mode. Because if it does, then it's a Windows issue, which is quite rare. And if it does not, then there is some non-Microsoft application issue. Important thing to remember is that if the problem is specifically within the application or related to some non-Microsoft driver, then you may not be able to validate it in safe mode, as the application or the driver may not even be available for there to test. But it's a valid step to try. So let's say if the problem is specifically within an application, if a problem is within Adobe, then going to safe mode is of no use, because maybe the Adobe will not even start there because it's not allowed to start there. Or if it is a problem with the printer driver, then going to safe mode is of no use because the printer driver may not even initiate there. But in a lot of cases, let's say you are having a very, very weird issue, you have no clues where to start from. Just go to safe mode and see if the issue persists or not. Even if the application doesn't start there, you will get to learn that, okay, it doesn't start there, but it is a valid step to go to the safe mode and look at it. Once you have identified that the issue do not persist in safe mode, that means that the issue is with a non-Microsoft application. Then we begin a process of first disabling all the third-party apps from normal mode to make sure that it is quite close to safe mode. So like I said, that safe mode is basically normal mode minus all non-Microsoft things. So once we identify that the issue is not there in safe mode, that means it is with a non-Microsoft application. So we try to make our normal mode as good as safe mode by disabling everything third party and trying to find out after disabling what does that issue disappear. It's not possible to make it 100% like safe mode because for so many reasons there will be various apps and drivers which you cannot disable. But in a hope that we disable all third-party application, then we might be able to get rid of the issue in normal mode, and just like it wasn't there in safe mode. And if it fixes the issue, then we can gradually enable one application at a time to identify what was causing the issue. And this process is called as clean boot. So now let me show you the various options from where you can disable the stuff. Okay, so there are various options from where you will disable it. One option is startup. So a lot of application gets started up here when the Windows boot up, and they can cause some issue. So I go to my favorite place, which is called as msconfig, and this is a window which is there from always. Startup items used to be here, but they are not here anymore. In earlier version of Windows, they were there here, but they're not here anymore. So in Windows 10 and Windows 8 onwards, actually, startup items have been moved to Task Manager. So it's the same Task Manager which comes from here. So what you can do is, you can go ahead and disable the startup items from here. This way, they'll not start up when you boot the computer up. So they can remain disabled. They can also be very helpful to you if you are troubleshooting a slow PC and you find that all the applications are getting started on startup. So let me tell you one thing. Users keep installing application on their computer, and every application in this world believes that they are the ultimate application, and whenever the user is booting up the computer, they should use their application, which is not true, unfortunately, or fortunately, or nothing actually. But the fact is, so that the application is available to the user readily, what these applications do is that they add themselves to this startup window, which means all these stupid application comes on when a computer boots up. Two things happen because of this. One, the boot up time of the computer increases enormously because all these applications get initiated as soon as you are starting this computer, so the boot time increases. And second, all these applications once started here, they start to eat into your performance. All these memories and all these things, all these applications start eating your memory and performance. So one thing which you can do is that you can go ahead and disable all the apps which you don't need to be started. It doesn't mean that they will not start. When you will go ahead and specifically click on the name of that app, it will still start, but it will start from zero. Whereas here they start residing in your memory just in a hope that you will click on it and then they can launch quickly. But just in that effort, they are making the whole computer slow, and you don't want that. So one way to go into the safe mode kind configuration is disable everything which is third party here. So that's number one. Second thing which you can do is, you can go here under services and you can put a check here to hide all Microsoft services. Now this is a vanilla computer and there is nothing else on this computer except Microsoft, so all services got hidden. But what you can do is that once you have an old computer which has got 1,000 applications installed on it, you will see 1,000,000 services listed here as well. So what you can do is that you can select all these services, or basically you don't have to select all, you can just say disable all. So this will disable all third-party services. In fact, if you like, you can even go into Microsoft services, and if you're able to make sense of what these services are, and if you can figure out what services of them are not required, and the only way to figure that out is by Googling the services name and experience. So once you figure out these things, you can actually disable a lot of these services as well. So you disable the services here, you disable the third-party services, you disable the startup item. This is, you are going close to the safe mode. The next thing which you can do is you can go to device manager and you can figure out some of the devices here which you don't need, and you can uninstall those devices, or maybe for now you can just go ahead and disable those devices. So that is going to clean up your PC a bit. And now after doing all these things, you go ahead and reboot this computer. Once you reboot the computer, you find out the issue which was not there in safe mode and was there in normal mode, does it persist anymore? And after making these changes, you have to reboot. The computer has to start afresh because the startup items are already loaded here. You disabling them after them getting loaded here doesn't help you. You have to reboot the PC so that the PC can start fresh. Now go ahead and validate the issue, if the issue exists or not. If the issue still exists, you may have to further look into device manager, what else you can disable. You might have to look into few other things. Like I said, that after a while it becomes pretty difficult to imitate safe mode, because there are only few places where you can go to imitate safe mode, and still even disabling everything will not give you 100% safe mode. But you can just hope for it. One more thing which you can try to do is that you can go to appwest.cpl, which is add remove program, and if you find any application which you think might be causing the issue, you can uninstall that application from here. So that's an option for you. So that's another troubleshooting approach which you can take. And this is what is called as clean mode. So do a clean boot, try to find out what's the issue. Once again, Google is your best friend. The approach is important. Once you know the right direction, then you can keep going ahead. Fixing a no boot situation. Honestly, guys, this is not my favorite. It is the worst issue to resolve because in most of the cases you cannot do it remotely. There are numerous ways to resolve it. I will quickly go through this article which talks about resolving a no boot situation, and I would want you to go through this article and go through other articles to find out how you can resolve no boot situations. But once again, I'm not much interested in this topic. In a lot of cases you repair it. In a lot of cases, see, you try to go into safe mode, and if your computer won't boot, you might have problem getting into safe mode. So you can follow this process here to get into safe mode. You can get into safe mode with Windows 10 recovery drive. So you need to figure out what is a recovery drive. You create it via USB. Check the battery of your laptop if your computer is not getting boot up. Unplug all the USB devices. Turn off fast boot. So there is UEFI fast boot options, Windows 8 onwards in the operating system, which boot the computer very rapidly without installing or loading the drivers. But this can break your computer at times, so you can disable it. You can enter the BIOS of your computer. So BIOS of a computer is a funny thing. I hope you have seen it before. This is basically where the chipset settings comes into play, the motherboard chipset settings. So usually you press the F2 on your PC or delete key on your PC. Different manufacturer have different key combination to get into the BIOS. You get into BIOS and you can look into various options, like he's talking about disabled fastboot. You can do a malware scans, but basically there are various options to resolve a Windows 10 no boot or any other computer no boot. I would like you to find out a couple of options and remember that for your interview. Next time when you have the issue, just try to find out what you can do best. But it is a very varied topic, and you should know how to fix a unbootable PC. Okay. So having said that, I'll go back to my topic here. What next? So troubleshooting Microsoft Office. Microsoft Office suite is probably the most used software suite in all kind of organization. Everybody uses Microsoft Office. Though it is a very stable software, but you should know how to troubleshoot it when required. There can be two kind of issues with Microsoft Office. Installation or configuration issue. This is when the product is not working correctly or is crashing. Now, depending on various situations, following steps is what you can try on. Probe the issue correctly and try to reproduce it itself. Like I said, that don't take anything from the user. You have to ask him the correct questions, and you have to find out the exact steps which you can follow to reproduce the issue. Install the latest updates of the product and see if it fixes the issue. A lot of times there are bugs in the product, and when you update the product correctly, then you will see that the issue gets resolved. So you can try to update the product. You can try to start the Office in safe mode. So there is a way to start the Office in safe mode. This is not the Windows safe mode. This is actually the Office safe mode. You can press the Alt key on your keyboard and then open the Office, and then you will get a pop-up that the Office product, it could be Outlook, it could be Word, it could be Excel, whatever product is starting, it is starting in safe mode. And then you need to see if the problem is happening in safe mode as well. If the problem is not happening in safe mode, then it is possible that there are some add-ins which are enabled on your product which is causing the issue, and you can go to add-ins and you can disable those add-ins, and that can fix the issue. You can definitely try to perform a clean boot of your PC if you feel that it is something outside your Office which is causing this issue. You can try to boot in safe mode and try to launch Office. I think Microsoft Office does work in safe mode as well. You can see if the issue persists there. And finally, if nothing else works, you can uninstall Office and reinstall Office, or you can do a repair reinstall of Office. So what I'll do quickly here is that I'll show you how to install Office on this computer. So I use my credentials for my company. Yep, install Office. So it is downloading Office in real time and it is installing Office on my computer. It's going on here. All the components of Office are going to get downloaded and installed on my computer. So that's how you download and install Office from Office 365. You can also have an offline package of Office installed on this computer, like if you have an offline downloaded copy of Office, and once you have installed it, then you have an option to activate it using your Office 365 account. We're going to touch upon Office 365 a little later in this training, so you will know more about it, but this is technically how you install, download and install Office on your computer from there. Okay, I'll let it install. In the meanwhile, we'll do another topic and then we will probably come back to it. So the first issue which I was talking about was the installation and configuration issue. I'm just trying to install Office for you and then I can show you how I repair Office. The second issue which can happen is a user issue. This is when a user is unable to use the product correctly. These could be easy to very difficult to troubleshoot. It could be very easy or to very difficult because it depends on your own experience with the product. If you don't know how to use Excel, if you don't know how to use Office, then it could be very difficult for you. But you should not see many of such issues because most Office employees are very good with Microsoft Office Suite and they can pretty much teach Microsoft Office to you. So you should be good here. The next topic which I wanted to discuss was Windows Update and how to troubleshoot them. Microsoft releases updates for its product every fortnightly, and these are mostly security updates along with some patches to improve or fix the bugs with the product. It is very important that you keep your PC updated to keep them secured and productive. These updates are a mix of operating system updates as well as Microsoft products which are installed on your PC. Microsoft updates are delivered to your PCs in two ways. Directly from internet, so the PCs download the update directly from internet and install it on itself, or via a Microsoft Windows Server update server or a WSOS server in a corporate environment. A WSOS server downloads all the updates on itself and then it pushes them to PCs and local network as per admin defined schedule. So either the PC can download the update directly from internet, which happens in case of most home users. They download the update and they install the update on their PC, or they can actually just download. In a lot of organizations there is a WSOS server, and WSOS server downloads all the updates, and then an administrator in a controlled fashion push all the updates on the computer. So I'll quickly go here and I will show you how much it's done, 17%. So I show you here that how do we do updates. So I go here, I type update and I go to this check for update. I think I've chosen a little cheap machine on Azure and it's a bit slow, especially because it's doing all this. Let's look at the performance. Let's kill it a little bit more. Yeah. Okay, Task Manager is taking a lot of time to load up as well, so you can imagine what kind of... Look at this, 99% CPU utilization. This is what I was talking about, the slowness. Now you know that it's 99% CPU utilization, what is taking how much and who's doing what and these kind of things. So 79% and 63% disk utilization. That's all these are running on the brim, and this is pretty much because this is a cheap machine. This is not a good computer. That's why it's happening. So, and I think the Windows Update page actually crashed on me. This machine is too busy. Okay, so in most cases, what we do is when we have to troubleshoot the update, I think the first step will be to go ahead and click on check for updates. And this will go ahead and check for the updates. And once it has figured out what all updates are there, usually there is an install button here on which we can click and install. Either it's going to install the updates, or if it fails to install the update, then it will give us an error message. In most cases, a particular error code. And then it is all about putting that error code in Google and try to find out what is causing the Windows updates issue. Okay, so look here. These are the updates which are available. This is downloading, pending download, whatever. And this one got downloaded just now. So this could be a starting and now it's installing the Windows update. That's even going to slow down my computer further. Anyways, so here is my Office getting installed. So this is how you troubleshoot Windows update. Now going back here, the other option is that when your updates are coming from WSO server, like I said, so that an organization doesn't have to download the same update 100 times on Windows 10 PC, they download it at a WSO server, and that WSO server pushes the update on local network to all the PCs. It makes the matter a lot quicker. Troubleshooting Windows Update can be as easy as clicking on the button Update Now to as difficult as hell. Like it could be very difficult. In most cases, you should click on the Update Now button in the Windows Update console and then see if it errors out, then search with the error code like I just told you. Below is one of our website. This is our website where we have written various articles about how to troubleshoot Windows Update issues, and you will see, I will try to go here. So I'll go to this website. Okay, so these are like some of the error codes which we have written, issues with the Windows updates which we have written here. So this is not the ultimate guide which I'm telling you to use, but this is something which you can use to troubleshoot. Here we have listed all the error codes which are available for different Windows update issues and how we can resolve these issues and these kind of things. So these are various error codes which can come in Windows Update. So it's not an easy issue to resolve, but yeah, the approach is simple. Just follow the same process and you should be able to find a solution, hopefully. Well, the Office is still getting installed, 64%, 74%. Okay, so I think Office is almost there. I'm going to take the risk of launching the Word. I just wanted to show you a few options here. This is a standard Word, and what you can do is I want to show you here options, and then you go to add-ins. Okay, I'm asking this computer to do too much work. I think it's getting a bit slowed down. And then you go here. I don't know if it crashed on me or if it's still going to, yep, it's still coming up. So these are add-ins. You basically can go ahead and select them from here, and you will see on an old computer, there will be a lot of add-ins here, and you can kind of disable them. From here, you can remove them. And like I said, that you can try to launch Office in safe mode. So what you do is, I think you hold down the Alt key or Shift key, and then you click on Office, whatever product which you're opening. Okay, that didn't work. So I'll try to hold down the Control key, and I try to open Word again. Okay, you're holding down the Control key. Do you want to start the Word in safe mode? Yes. So if you're having an issue, what you will do is that you'll start the Word in safe mode. See, it looks exactly like how it is in normal mode. But in this mode, if you see the issue doesn't exist, that means the issue is with the add-ins. So you can go ahead and disable some of the add-ins. All right. So that's about the troubleshooting of Microsoft Office. And one more thing, sorry, I forgot to cover, which is if for some reason your office is not working, what you can do, you have tried everything, you have an option here to go ahead and click on change, and you can do a quick repair and you can do an online repair. A quick repair, basically without the internet connection, it quickly resets all the configuration of Office, so that can fix the issue for you. Or you can go ahead with an online repair. It basically downloads the package again for your Office and repair it for you. And if both of them doesn't work, then I'll say just go ahead and uninstall it and try to reinstall it. So these are all some valid steps which you can try to troubleshoot Microsoft Office. So I'll just quickly touch upon, here's what we covered in this module. We learned about how to do probing. We told you how to search on Google for the issues which you have, how to put the things in double quotes, what you can search, what you cannot search. We told you how to follow a linear troubleshooting approach. We told you what is the safe mode. We told you about add and remove program. We told you how to install printer. We told you how to fix no boot situations. We showed you how to troubleshoot a slow boot PC, or how to troubleshoot unable to browse internet, how to perform clean boot, how to troubleshoot Windows Update, how to troubleshoot Microsoft Office. One more thing which I wanted to show you and I forgot to show you was Event Viewer. So on a Windows computer and a Windows server, you have something which is called as Event Viewer. Start, run, EVENT, Google a couple of more ways to open the Event Viewer. I'm sure there are a lot of more ways to open it. I just remember these shortcuts. So you go here and you go here. These are administrative events and these are application, security, system. So basically these are event logs. And whenever there is an error on your computer, there is always an entry which is made on these event logs. I'm sorry guys, this is a very slow computer and it's taking a lot of time. I will next time work on a faster computer. Finally. Okay, so Event Viewer contains of all the events which happens on this computer. So if there is any error message or if there is any event which has happened on the computer, you will find all the information here. And looking into the Event Viewer for a problem which has happened in past or which a problem which is happening now is a very, very valid troubleshooting step, and you should always include that in your list of troubleshooting steps. So always look into the Event Viewer, see what's going on here. Sometimes the Event Viewer is so clear that it will pretty much tell you the solution to your problem. So always look into the Event Viewer. So events are categorized into application, security. Security is basically login, log off event, etc. Setup, system. You will get more acquainted with these things. See how when new event comes up, it tells you this, and you can just pretty much click on refresh here and it will load up all the events for you. The best way to look into Event Viewer is to go into administrative events, because what administrative events does is that it shows you all the error messages from all these event logs. In fact, there are more event logs here. It shows all the error messages and warning messages to you here. It's a very quick way to go ahead and look into the issues of your computer. It will directly give you access to all the errors and events which are there, and believe me, never try to fix all the errors and events, because you can actually never fix them. All kind of error keeps coming up. It's a brand new installation of Windows and you're seeing all the issues which are happening here. So it's crazy. But anyways, this is a very valid step. You should always look into Event Viewer to find out what are the issues that's happening on your computer, and then you can pick up the text from here and you can search in Google for the issue, or you can look at the event ID and you can just search for that event ID in Google to find a resolution. So these are very, very good steps. One more thing which I wanted to show you and I didn't show you so far is disk management. diskmgmt.msc. I'll close the event here. I'll give some respite to this slow computer. Too many things opened. Not really too many, but anyways. It's trying to open disk management. Still waiting for, yep, finally. Alright, so finally the disk management loaded up. It's a very slow computer, sorry about it. So you can see that these are the various hard disks which are connected to my computer. The disk 0 is a physical disk connected at for 127 GB, and there is disk 1, which is another disk which is connected to my computer. It's 8 GB. As you can see, you can do a lot of things in disk management. You can extend a volume, you can shrink a volume, you can make a mirror image of this disk if you want to. You can change the drive letter. So here it's a C drive letter. If you want to change the drive letter and the path, you can change the drive letter here. So a lot of things relevant to the disk if you want to do, if you have added a new disk to your computer, and this could be a server or this could be a Windows PC, you will be coming into disk management. You need to be familiar of this console. Not that you do various advanced things here, but when you have to do something, then you have to do something, and this is the place where you take the action. So yep, I just wanted to introduce this console to you as well. Okay, so we have done all these things here, and what next? Alright guys, so this is the end of week 2. During this week, we learned so much information about computer basics, PC troubleshooting. Armed with this information, you are a lot better than any average desktop engineer minus his experience, because experience teaches you everything. But over this training, you have learned so many things which they learned over a lot of time which they spend in their offices, and I have told you all those things upfront. I will request you to replay all these chapters as many times as possible, do more and more practice, improve your resume, and start applying for some IT help desk and desktop support job. Be sure to highlight the skills like OS installation, clean boot, loop, NS lookup, ping, safe mode, office troubleshooting, etc. in your resume. Cloud support is also part of desktop support now. We will learn about that in next week. So you may want to add some skills like Office 365, etc. in your resume now as well. Or you may wish to wait for another week to add them. Apply fewer jobs which are more appropriate to you and wait for the feedbacks for the job. Don't waste all the arrows in one go. Every interview you give is an opportunity for you to learn and improve. Best of luck, and I will see you in week 3 soon. Here's your action items. Try various options to boot the computer in safe mode. Try to install new features on your Windows client from add and remove features, like you can do Telnet or whatever else, maybe Hyper-V, whatever else you want to install. Try installing various printers or watching videos of printer installation if you don't have your own printer, because that's a very good learning for you, and printer is a very well-known thing. So try to look for more questions about how you can troubleshoot a printer or how you can fix a printer. Familiarize yourself with that. Familiarize yourself with Task Manager, including how to get performance stats of disk, RAM, and CPU. I showed that to you, how to open the Resource Manager. Familiarize yourself with PC network tools like ping and NS lookup. I used all those tools today with you, so you can do that. Perform a clean boot of your PC, disable startup items, disable the third-party services, disable the device manager items, and just learn how to do that. Familiarize yourself with the no-boot troubleshooting. I know I didn't do much in no-boot troubleshooting with you guys, but those are pretty straightforward things. You just have to read and understand how to do it. Maybe install a few operating systems on a few virtual machines, and you will learn about installation and troubleshooting a no-boot issue. So that's it for now, and I thank you for your time, and I hope you really enjoyed this module and you're feeling empowered with the end of the week too. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.